So this car has some wheel well rust that's been poorly repaired in the past. So I do have new quarter panels. I'm not going to replace the full quarters because it's just pretty much right through here. The rest of these are nice and solid. There's no I don't see any reason to replace the whole quarter. I may change my mind later, I don't know. Right now I've got the trunks full of garbage, or parts and stuff. So I got to clean all that out. The goal here is to flip this thing on its side so that I can get this rear end put in a lot easier. This body I bought at an insurance auction, so it was a theft recovery. And so it was just a stripped body, the doors were gone, the interior gone, everything on this car was stripped out. Just a bare body shell. And so it made a perfect candidate as a donor vehicle for something like this. You know, 5th gen wiring harness, I got that fit in there real nice. This was a really solid car. It didn't have much. There's just a tiny bit of rust through right here, but the rockers are beautiful. And the original color was this emerald green, still under there. And so what I've been able to find out is this car was painted red. Actually, there's a few layers here. Over the green is this dark brown, and then red, and then another different shade of red was the last color, and then whoever stole this car just shot it with this gray to cover it up. It was just a quick and dirty, just to make it not red anymore. And so, doing record searches on the VIN, it looks like it was stolen, stripped, recovered, returned to the original owner, and then he just sat on it and didn't do anything, and then ended up passing away. And so the family, it appears the family just donated what was left of it to the insurance auction. So this side is a little rougher. So I had started digging in. There was a little cancer growing right in here. I started chopping into that, and that's when I decided to get full half quarters to replace all this sheet metal. So what's going on in here is when I put the new floor in, I just kind of chopped this stuff out of the way, because this car's gonna get the mini tubs. I've already got those. It's gonna get the convertible bracing, and of course this subframe has been chopped out because it's getting all the way cut out to make room for the Art Morrison subframe. So I gotta finish getting all the stuff cleaned out of this car so I can flip it over on its side. I'll pull this gas tank back out and start prepping this thing to get this rear end in. So follow along, and I will try and do my best to document this install. You know, keep in mind, I'm no expert. I don't claim to be an expert. I'm just a guy with a car in a garage doing what I love to do. So if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. All the videos are going to be posted here on YouTube. Alright, here it is. The Art Morrison independent rear suspension for F-body Camaros, Firebirds. This thing is a pretty cool unit. It's weld-in subframe to replace the original stamped steel flimsy frame the Camaros come with. This thing allows me to utilize the ZL1 brakes, ZL1 uprights, ZL1 center section, and most importantly for my build is the wheel sensors, which I've mentioned that a few times. This is the main reason I wanted to go with this setup, other than the fact that it's super cool. So this thing, you know, has been sitting around for a little bit collecting dust too. So I'm going to get it fitted into this car. I've got her flipped over on her side. I'm kind of test fitting in one of the convertible braces. So you can see this thing fits pretty good. Not great. It's going to need some massaging. So I'm not going to concentrate too much on the convertible braces right now. My main focus is to get this put together. I'm going to have some fitment issues with my shifter here. I'm going to have to try to figure that out. Most of the shifter components fit above that. Of course, these are the other two pieces that go in behind it. Now the main focus, of course, is going to be back here in the back, where this frame rail, it gets welded in. And I've cut all that out. This all needs to get cut out here. And same thing on the bottom. Now, Art Morrison does say that you can trim this frame rail off and fit this thing right in here. It's supposed to be an easy install. You know, about that we will see. I'm going to go ahead and get started on this and try and follow along, and I will post updates as I go. Right now is Mr. Plasma Cutter, and I'm going to get these frame rails cut out of the way. So step one is to get this out. Now they say to go ahead and leave this metal here. Gives you a little more meat to weld to when it comes time to weld this new one in. So hopefully I'm just gonna trim right along the bottom, trim along the top, chop these frame rails out of here, and get ready to stick this bad boy in. Get it lined up and tacked in place. So start with that. Original stamped frame cutout with the plasma cutter. As the instructions say, they say you can go ahead and leave this flange because it'll give you more meat to weld the new frame to. But something I wasn't expecting is this frame does not really follow the path of the original. So I don't get what they're talking about as regards to that, because I got it just setting here, and it's up here in the front. It's close to centered. Front to back, it needs to move back, because this is something else they didn't mention in the instructions, is that it runs right into the floor. Right here. And right here. No mention of that in the instructions either, so that's a surprise. I mean, obviously we'll deal with it, but you know, Art Morrison's build quality is very, very nice. But I think their instructions are not intended for the DIY guy. So keep that in mind if you guys want to tackle a project like this. I'm going to try to highlight all the things that I wasn't expecting. You know, I went ahead and cut these seatbelt bolts off because I thought they were going to be in the way, but I don't know if they would have been or not now. So I've got the shipping brace cut off so that it'll fit under the trunk pan. And I've just got it setting in here, just kind of getting an idea of what else is left to modify. It needs to slide towards the rear a little bit. Right now it can't because it's running into the floor here. So I'm not sure at this point if I want to massage the floor to fit around it, or just go ahead and cut the floor and let that kind of go into the trunk. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out yet. Kind of let you know what I plan for that. But anyways, this is first dry fit of the frame in the car. And I gotta figure out how I want to proceed here, so I need to do a little thinking. Okay, as I have been putting this thing in, taking it back out, putting it in, taking it out, trying to fit it in here. As you can see, this fitment around here needs adjusted a little bit, no big deal. I would like to get it up a little higher. It still feels like it's low. I can almost get the tip of my finger between there and the body floor pan. So the instructions that I got from Art Morrison led me to believe that this frame followed the same path as the old frame, and it absolutely does not. It was like, oh, you can just, cut the old frame off and leave the flange behind so that you got something that, a little more meat to weld to. As you can see, it's nowhere near the same path as the old frame. Like, the old frame centered on that hole. I cut that bolt out of there for the seat belts because I thought it would be in the way, but it's not. The old frame ran right along here, and it really squeezes this floor pan tight. But the biggest thing that I wasn't aware of is this clearance issue right here with this trunk floor. And I've been cutting and banging on this, trying to get this to clear. Once I get it into place, I'm going to dolly and hammer this all back out so it doesn't look like crap like it does right now. But I'm just trying to get this thing to fit in here. And I still got a ways to go. I still got a hell of a gap. So this thing's been kind of a pain in the ass, really. But it's part of the ambiance of building cars. So one thing that I did do, a lot of people, when they install these, the car is going to be sitting on wheels. And you're going to have it up on jack stands. And so what they suggest you do is you get all this stuff cut out of here, and then you set the car down on this. Put this on jack stands, set the car, so you have the weight of the car helping it hold into place. Well, I don't have that, being that I'm on the rotisserie laying sideways. So what I did was I drilled a hole right up in there and one down here, and drilled this and threaded it so that I got a bolt from the inside, and it holds this thing on here while I'm screwing around with it. Helps suck it up. It's nice, it's fairly sucked up right here, but I've still got gaps. So I'm gonna keep playing around with it, and I still gotta make more room here, because that's gotta come up. I think I'm gonna poke another hole right in here somewhere and do that bolt trick again, so that I can run a bolt in and put pressure on it and keep pulling it into place until I get it where I need it to be. I don't have any other way to get that thing to snug up to the floor pan. So that's where I'm at right now. I've been screwing around with this most of the day, just drilling these spot welds out. I decided to go ahead and pull these flanges off since they're not lined up with the frame anymore. That just looks terrible. So that all needs to get removed, even though they said, oh, go ahead and leave those in there, you can use them. Well, that was a 100% fabrication. Not real sure why that is. If that's just because I have the IRS as opposed to the 4-link or the tri-link option. Maybe I've got different frame rails because of that thing right there. Maybe. The literature online, I'm having a hard time finding anything that's specific to my car and this rear end setup. It's just kind of disappointing, but I'm kind of having to figure this out on my own. So it really comes as no surprise why these cars rust out so bad. There is not a lick of seam sealer anywhere under here. Everything is just exposed. And that rust just likes to get up in there and wreak havoc on this thing. And I mean, this car is really solid compared to most, but that's obviously why they're rusting out. Seam sealer would be nice. It's this one's gonna get seam sealer on everything when I get this welded all up, fabrication done. Probably gonna do some kind of undercoating under here, maybe some spray-on bed liner, Raptor liner, something like that. I'm not sure yet what I want to use. Go ahead and throw it down in the comments. You know, some suggestions on the best product to use under here once all the fab's done and the seam sealer's applied. What's the best thing to undercoat this car with? Easiest to apply, don't need special equipment, stuff like that. I don't want to get too crazy. Like, you know, obviously I still gotta cut all this out to put the mini tubs in, because this needs to be all the way down here. That's why this is notched here, is to accommodate the mini tubs. Run them wider tires in the back. Right, so the car is back sitting level. Got the rotisserie disconnected. Right now the frame is in. I'm trying to get it to fit better. And before I do any welding, I want to make sure this thing is exactly where it needs to be. So as you can see, I've still got gaps to deal with. To be perfectly honest, this frame does not fit worth a shit yet. I am not pleased with the fitment of this thing. It has been a nightmare getting it to fit in here. So after massaging and tweaking and lifting this thing into place probably 30 times, this is where I'm at with it right now. You know, this thing is supposed to be flush with the bottom of the pinch weld, and it's obviously still hanging way down. But as you can see, it is tight to the floor pan right there, and then it widens out quite a bit all the way back. And right now I've got it sitting on jack stands, just trying to let the weight of the car just settle down onto this thing. And for now I'm just gonna kind of let it be. I've got a bolt through right in there, so you can see that gap is closed, but it's just kind of bending the trunk pan down to it. So I'm not sure how I'm going to get this to tighten up. I don't know what the heck's going on here. I don't know if it needs to go forward more, maybe. But I really don't have any room to go forward more, so that's kind of where it's got to be. So anyways, that's where the car's at. So what I'm doing right now is I've got the rear end on a set of snowmobile dollies so that I can wheel it around. And I'm gonna slide this thing under there and bolt it up and see how everything fits. Make sure that it's centered in the fender well. Once I get that bolted in, I'm probably going to go ahead and reattach the front clip, get that reattached to the car, and then I can pull four-corner measurements and make sure everything squares up right. I want to do all that before I throw a single bead of weld on that subframe, because once it's welded in, there's no moving it. So anyways, I'm going to slide this baby under there and get her attached. Not real happy right now. One of the things that Morrison claims is these are easy install rear ends. Whether it's the tri-link, the 4-link, and even the IRS is all advertised as easy installation. And not once during all of the back and forth between my sales rep and Art Morrison themselves, because I talked to them a lot about this project, nobody ever once mentioned that there was massive floor pan interference with putting this in this car. So I've only been able to get one bolt in, and this thing is running into the floor here really bad. Over on this side, same thing, running into the floor, and I can't even begin to get it into position because it's just running into this. This is not going to fit. I've already had to beat the hell out of my floor just to get the subframe in and clear these. There's no reason that this couldn't have been beveled through here to make more room so you don't have to have floor pan problems. They just didn't even try. And it's just very disappointing. And not only did they not say anything about this, but they really did not make any effort to remedy the problem. But that's not all. There's more. So in addition to the other problem is this will not clear the floor pan right here either. You can see we're way below the mount, and it's really hard to get a good picture of this, but it's going to hit the floor pan right there as well. And it's just, all of this was very unexpected, and at no time did Art Morrison mention that this was going to require major floor pan modifications to fit. I mean, it is what it is, but I just was completely unprepared for this because they never said anything about it. You know, the fact that these frame rails don't follow the original path at all was another thing that they just misled me on. And I'm just very disappointed right now. So I think part of the disappointment comes from the fact that they didn't say anything. I wasn't prepared for it. I could have modified this floor pan while the car was still laying on its side on the rotisserie, but instead I had to discover this problem while the car is sitting like this, and I can't get in here and make any of these modifications. So now I gotta pull all this crap back out and flip this car back up, or jack it back up, so I can get under here again and make these modifications. I'm just very ticked off right now. I've searched all over Art Morrison's website. They just do not publish anything related to this rear end going in this car. They just do a terrible job of that. one of the things I discovered some rust in this trunk floor that I didn't really know was there. If there's a silver lining in any of it, that's one. But as you can see, I had to beat the living hell out of this floor pan just to get the subframe part of it to fit. As you can see, I can't even get that thing to line up because it's running into the floor pan right through here. So I'm going to have to modify, or I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm just discovering this. But it contacts the floor all the way through here, and then the same on this side all the way through here is hitting the floor pan. But where those gas tank braces and weld on was a really bad rust spot, both sides. It was hiding under the whatever they spray in this trunk and underneath. Yeah, this is all gonna have to get modified. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might just slice this. I'm thinking about just making a cut right across here, and that'll allow this to come up and this to come up, and then I can fill that back in once I get a plan on how this is gonna fit and work. But again, I'm pretty disappointed right now. $17,000 I paid for this, and it doesn't even fit. I went with this because it's not supposed to require a bunch of special fabrication to make it fit. You know, the front, no complaints. This front flip went together beautifully, and I was figuring on the same for the rear. This has not been a fun day, folks. The struggle is real, let's just put it that way. So I had to make a little. Man, I would have approached this install so much differently if I had known that there was this much floor interference putting this in. I wouldn't have had to just hack the hell out of my floor pan to make this thing fit in here. But right now it's installed where it goes. But God, what a nightmare this has been. In here's the worst. Just trying to hack this floor out of the way so that these damn things will fit through here. Both sides, of course. This is just, it makes me sick. My brand new floor pan. So, right now it's just clearing out pieces to make it fit in here. And it pokes into the floor quite a bit. So, I'm going to have to fabricate some sheet metal to box this back in, which is what it is. But it is. Got it setting in here, jacked up to where it goes. I don't have the bolts in the front, but they're pretty much up against their mounts. What a job. There's still a lot of work to do, so I think I'm gonna call it a day. I've cussed at this car long enough for one day. I've had enough. I gotta think about what my next steps are. But had I known that this was going to be required, I would have probably taken the rear end all apart, remove all the A-arms and the center section and the shocks, and just hang the center support while this thing was still flipped on its side on the rotisserie, and then I could have carefully measured out and made cuts where needed, and done this in a more, you know, professional manner than just hacking and chopping on the floor like this to try to make this thing fit. It's just working on it like this is not the way to do it. So, hindsight being 2020, you know, any of you watching that plan on doing this install, don't do it this way. You know, at the end of the day, it's going to be fine. I'll fix all this. It's just more work, more time, more skin knuckles, more welding slack burns. So I'll get back with you in the morning and we'll discuss how I'm going to proceed here. Alright, so this is now in its final resting place. It's been an interesting journey getting here, but now that it's sitting in the car, I'm definitely a lot happier. I wish that they would have been a little more forthcoming about what I was looking forward to. This little bit of clearance issue here, a little bit right there, and had to massage the floor, you know, for each of these mounts. But in the end, it works out pretty good because I like the fact that these bolts are into the floor or into the trunk. Easier to get to than right up against the floor pan where I thought they would end up. And so, of course, in here, this is a little more profound interference. But I have a plan for this that I think is going to work out pretty slick. So you can get just this section of floor pan as a patch panel. If I cut all of this out and then take a piece just like this and basically extend this flat all the way over to here, and that will make a nice transition that'll give that room to exist both sides. I think it's gonna work out pretty cool. So getting it to fit up against the floor pan was also quite a challenge. Besides the interference areas, just getting this gap to close up all the way through has been a struggle. But I don't know if, you know, I get that these F-body cars were all built with varying degrees of accuracy from different assembly plants. The only way I've been able to get it to really fit well and close up, you know, Art Morrison says, you know, just put the weight of the car on it and it'll be fine. Well, that didn't work. So what I had to do is I added some bolts. So there's one here, and that thing fits like right up against this, right in through there. I added another bolt there, same on this side, and then I had another bolt right up there. And I also started with that guy right there, and same over on the other side. Those bolts are all that's holding this thing in right now. I don't want to do any welding until I verify that it's exactly where it needs to be. I can't pull any four-corner measurements on this right now because she's not one car right now. She's two cars. Till I get it one car again, I'm just going to leave this bolted into place. And I keep kind of banging on the floor pan and massaging it with the rubber mallet. And the more I screw with it, the better it fits as time wears on. So that's gonna do it for the build progress this time. I gotta return to work, and I'm frankly just out of time. I do have to admit that if you put your car on a rotisserie, make sure that you have all of the mounts locked into place. I hate to admit this, but I had a boo-boo when I had this thing flipped over on its side. I had forgot to tighten the locking bolts down, and she slid. She fell and bashed this quarter panel in. So yeah, I was kind of on the fence of whether I wanted to replace this quarter panel because I'd already chopped a bunch of it off because of rust. I was thinking about just doing a patch, but now that this happened, yeah, it's kind of a bummer because I did all this work putting this fuel door in and now it's all screwed up. I think I'm just going to do a full quarter panel replacement on this side at least. All brand new quarter panel. That'll make putting the mini tub in a lot easier. But yeah, it's a bummer that happened. But whatever. It's just a thing. A little more work to do. This quarter panel is in really good shape. It's just right around the wheel well opening where it's got some cancer in there. And I don't know. I don't think it's worth doing a full quarter panel replacement just for a little bit of wheel well rot. I've got quarter panel skins sitting in the shop that I can cut pieces off of to repair this. So the rest of the quarter panel is in great shape. Sail panels all smoothed out. It's really not necessary to replace this for what little bit of damage it has. So at least that's my thought right now. Everything's subject to change without notice. Back here in the trunk, I still have the wiring to finish up. I never did finish any of this up. This is the yaw sensor, still got to get mounted. I think that actually goes under the center console. That computer, I believe, is for the chassis, drivetrain. Probably the magnetic ride control runs through that. I gotta get that mounted somewhere. Most of that stuff's bypassed already. I've got resistors to defeat all the sensors on that to trick it into maintaining a solid stance. But I still got all of this to deal with. This is where the battery goes. Got the rear fuse block. Still got to knock a hole for this to go down underneath, just like I did on this side. The one main harness, I've got a hole knocked here, and that's this guy. Pops down through that hole, and then this harness feeds the fuel pump and I believe the canister purge and all that stuff down under there, along with wheel sensors and I can't remember. It's not important. But anyways, that's that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate everybody that is following along. I welcome advice, opinions, tips, tricks, anything you see I'm screwing something up in a big way, let me know. I'm not too proud to admit that I'm just a dude in the garage. I'm not an expert by any means. I don't have any training, I don't have any education on building cars. I just do it and I learn along the way. And it's for the most part it's served me pretty well. But yeah, this thing's really badass. I'm super excited about getting this on the road and seeing how it performs. But yeah, so probably be another month before I post another video. And next steps probably going to be getting wiring finished. I gotta fabricate a bracket for the brake line. This guy here, I'm gonna weld a tab onto the A-arm to hit that. Probably plumb fuel lines, brake lines. I probably gotta drop this rear end back out so I can flip this car over and get to work on the floor pan modifications. Clean all that up now that I know what needs to happen. So the next segments of this build will be kind of monotonous stuff, so nothing super exciting. As soon as I get this floor pan done, then I can marry these two back together, get measured for a drive shaft, fabricate some exhaust, and fire this bad boy up. That's going to be fun. Oh, and I also gotta get measurements for the forge line wheels for the back. Now that I got this rear end in place, I can get that figured out too. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Like, follow. Everybody have a wonderful day.